thanks for joining us for Tea and Trowels, the Florida Public Archaeology Network's web series where we talk to archaeologists about their research and what archaeology means to them. I'm one of your hosts, Emily Jane Murray, and I'm very excited to be joined by the amazing Katherine Sims today, who is an archaeologist who works with the city of St. Augustine. Thanks for joining us, Katherine. How's it going?
It's going great, MJ. Thanks.
Yeah, would you like to maybe say a little bit more about yourself and then tell us about your mug?
Yeah, I'm the research and collections archaeologist for the city of St. Augustine. So I do a lot of work working with our artifact collections and documentary collections here at the archaeology program, as well as doing some field work, but we're not in the field right now. And with me today, I have my mug. It is a Munsell soil color mug. So this is how we archaeologists keep track of the exact hue and shade and texture and consistency of soil. And this one is a 7.5 YR, which is pretty common for clay. But yeah, this is my archaeology mug today.
That's awesome. You can drink some coffee and then figure out what to write in your field notes all at the same time.
Yeah, drink some coffee and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like a 7.5 YR 6.6 strong brown. Absolutely, yeah.
Very cool. Well, today I am drinking out of my transfer print mug in honor of some of your research at the Arcadia Mill site. I think the kind of willowware motif lines up pretty well with the 1830s onward dates from that project. So
yeah, absolutely. Looks very familiar.
So what made you want to become an archaeologist?
Oh, I've always wanted to be an archaeologist. When I was a kid, I was military dependent. We moved all over the country. We were stationed overseas for a couple years and we traveled the world. And there was one particular occasion, I was probably 10 or so, and we were traveling through the south of France and we were utterly lost. This is way before cell phones had GPS capabilities on them, Google Maps. And we had stumbled across an archaeological investigation out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a Roman town that had been buried by an avalanche in between two mountains. And it blew my mind because we were just driving around and there was trees and trees and trees and then temples and statues and house structures. And that's when I decided I wanted to be an archaeologist.
That's really cool. Did you look up like the name of it? Do you know what kind of like what site it was?
Yeah, it was called Glanum, and I don't know if they're still working out there. I imagine they are. There's a lot of rocks to move. It was, oh my gosh, that was many, 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 many years ago. But
very cool. So could you tell us a little bit about some of your research? And here's the kicker, you only get about 30 seconds.
Oh, I have a ton of research interests that really vary between plantation archaeology and studying the lives of the enslaved to all kinds of colonial history, British, Spanish, French colonial history. At the moment, I'm working a lot with geographic information systems to spatially map out things that we find. So it's not about the post, it's how this post relates to all of the other post holes that are around it. So that's kind of what I've been working on more recently.
Very cool. Any particular cool project happening at the city right now?
We just wrapped up excavations on Los Remedios, which is the first parish church in St. Augustine, and we also wrapped up excavations on a household structure out at La Quinta, which is just south of town. It's a Spanish mission community. It's
amazing. Everything that's underneath that city, you just never know what you're gonna find.
Yep, you never know until you dig a hole in the ground and you're like, oh, look, there's all these features. There's a well and another well and a bunch of structural posts and a trash pit or 5.
Wells.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite tool in your toolkit right now?
This is an easy question. So this is my Publix ice cream shovel. It's actually called an ice cream shovel. And it is my favorite tool. I found it about a year and a half ago in the ice cream aisle, and I just thought it was the perfect shape, and it's really, really sturdy, which is nice. It's great for excavating post holes, which we find a lot of. Yeah, I have a whole stockpile of them now. This ice cream shovel.
That's pretty fun. yeah, it's like everything's an archaeological tool.
Oh, absolutely. My whole bag is filled with random chopsticks and spoons and clippers and bamboo sculpting tools for ceramics. Oh yeah.
You never know what's going to have like just the right shape to get that awkward little scoop of dirt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So do you have a best worst field story that you can now laugh about?
I have many. Not many I'm yet prepared to laugh about. Surely at the top of that list is a project that I worked on. It was one of my first projects in Florida when I was just learning to do archaeology. And we were shovel testing through a section of woods. And the project had this magical ability to shapeshift into whatever environment you wanted to be in the least that day. So if you really were trying to avoid snakes and saw palmettos, it would generate snakes and just fields of snakes and saw palmetto. And if you were trying to avoid being tangled in hundreds of vines from greenbrier and simultaneously attacked by yellow flies, it would produce that. And there was this one particular section of the project area. It was a really, really long, skinny project area. And at the front of the project, where we would enter in every day, there was this section where every time it rained, which is basically all of summer in Florida, it would fill up with water and it would turn into this horrendous swamp. So we would all be equipped with our shovels and our screens, all of our personal equipment, all of our first aid kits, because we'd come out with scratches and bruises and stuff, and then all of our water for the day and our lunches. And we would have to hop from tree to tree to tree to get to the other side of the swamp every day. And when we would run out of water, which inevitably happened because it was Florida in the summer, so it was like 110, 120 degree heat index, somebody would dump out their entire backpack on the ground, fill it with empty water bottles, go back through the swamp to get water, and then back through again to bring the water. It was a very challenging field project that I appreciated later because it was a character building exercise in the best possible way. Because if you can do that kind of archaeology, you can do archaeology anywhere in the world.
I think archaeology is far more glamorous than folks realize, especially in Florida.
Oh yeah. And the very best part of that project was that we found absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Hundreds of holes and nothing at all. So yeah, it was like playing a very real world version of the floor is lava, except if you touch that tree, you get poison ivy, and if you step in the spot that looks solid but's not, you're gonna lose your boot for sure. You'd be pulling people out of the mud. Oh my gosh, it was just horrendous.
Oh man, that's a good story.
Yeah, it's a solid example of Florida archaeology for sure. It was really a testament to how diverse the ecosystems in Florida can be. Every section of the project was different. Every day was different. Every time it rained, it would transform itself into a whole different kind of fun.
Yeah. All right, so I've saved our big question for the last here. How do you think archaeology is going to save the world?
Oh, one of the best parts, I think, about archaeology is that it really teaches us to broaden our perception of the world, and it reminds us to think more about than just the here and now. It's not about what we're doing now, it's what people have always done. People have been experiencing the exact same life challenges for thousands of years, and how they responded to those situations can really inform on how we act in the future. We just have to uncover all of those historical facts first.
Yeah, that's a good thing to think about, especially now with our world turning. It's probably happened before, right? We got a little bit of optimism in there.
Absolutely. This is not the first time people have been forced to stay in their homes for long periods of time, especially in St. Augustine, something like the British siege, 1702, people are stuck in the Castillo for weeks. And it's hard for us on our normal day-to-day lives we forget about those kinds of things, of what it was like to be in a small enclosed space with tons of, having these experiences. And then we can look back on history and say, oh yeah, that's happened before. Absolutely. Little bit different circumstances, but same kind of reaction.
Yeah, and at least I get to stay in my own house and not shoved in a small space with lots of other people that I may or may not like.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So on that topic, what's been keeping you sane during the hurricane? Or sorry, during the quarantine?
Like the other natural disaster. Yeah. Well, we've been spending a ton of time in the office, which is great. We have an opportunity to catch up on field work. And for me personally, I've been working a lot with getting some of our collections ready for analysis. We've kind of been in this dig mode for a really long time. And it's nice to be able to slow down and pause and say, okay, these are the next steps. This is what we can do. Because we also want to prepare these collections so we can research them. And it's a part of the daily process of archaeology that a lot of people don't get to see, is that it's not about the field work, it's about what comes after the field work. So every week we spend in the field, it probably takes us 3 or 4 weeks to process it in the lab. So we have plenty to keep us busy.
Lots to be done on rainy days still with archaeology.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck with all that backlog and all those those projects to catch up on. And thanks for joining us today, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.